I was born in a little place in Tipperary in Ireland, Southern Ireland, and went to primary, secondary school down there, and moved out. Spent a lot of time abroad. Spent time in America, time in the UK, time in China with various companies. So a lot of travel kind of typical tech career from the 1993, the start of the internet, and onto where we are now. First thing, I'm a techie, right? So I'm a coder by trade. That's my profession. Started off with the early Javas, the Pythons, all those things. Worked with a lot of .coms around the world, a lot of grocery, a lot of e-commerce, larger companies. So did that for maybe 15, 20 years. IMPT started about 8 years ago. Personal life, into sports, into the environment. A normal guy, just doing my thing, but have a particular interest in environmental issues, right? Have a particular interest in trees. And I suppose this thing is joining all that up, right? So bit of tech background, understood how large corporate e-commerce structures work, and then it's about mixing my interests with those, and that's where IMPT came from. I don't want to come across as a tree hugger, Kev. That's not my objective here at all, and I don't think I am that. But I am into it. I think there's ways we can sustain without changing everything we do. I think there's ways we can solve some of these climate issues without having material impacts on our lives, all that sort of stuff. So, yeah, I'm definitely in the top 2 or 3%. Not a tree hugger, but sustainability is important to me. Yeah. Who is Mike? Mike, not a tree hugger. He's a normal guy. He loves his sports. Loves a bit of farming, a bit of family life, lots of travel. But normal guy, Kev. Nothing unusual. Hard worker. What inspired me to create IMPT? It's a good question first, and it's not the most complex answer, right? So when I was younger, I saw a lot of messages about how do we solve climate change, right? And it was all this thing about turning off the lights and buying electric cars, all this sort of stuff. And I always thought that was difficult for people. That how are they going to do that? How do they invest? How do they change their behavior? So the idea stems from that. How could we build a system that meant people didn't need to change their behaviors to impact climate change? So that's what IMPT is. No behavioral change. Just every time you start with us, we take a ton of carbon out of the atmosphere. So it's based on the premise that maybe getting people to change is difficult, Kevin. So now it's live your life as normal, but start with us.
And would you say that was your aha moment?
Yeah, I think it was. I think it was a bit of a aha moment. Yeah, definitely. But it's taken a long time to get to here, because remember, we had to bring all the retailers on board. That was tricky, and that's taken a lot of years to develop. So whilst you have a aha moment, you still have to deliver 20,000 retailers onto the platform. So you're going to buy a product online, right? All we're asking you to do in IMPT is buy that product online, but from our apps or from our website, right? So one click from our app or from our website to that brand that we already have secured is going to have a huge climate impact, right? So you can book hotels.com directly with hotels.com. You'll get your product. If that first click comes from us, then you'll take a ton of carbon out of the atmosphere, minimum. We take care of our shoppers. We take care of our community. As you well know, Kev, you're involved in that community day in, day out. But the most important thing, the most important value is our carbon credits are immutable, right? So every time we bring on a project, a farmer, every time that project comes on, we know that that project is verified. And number two, we know that that carbon credit can never be used again. It can only be used once, and it will always take 1 ton of carbon out of the atmosphere. What makes it unique for me is that it enables anybody on the planet in 115 countries at the moment to do the right thing by the environment. Just come with us, start with us, and you're taking a ton of carbon out of the atmosphere. The biggest thing for us was getting the retailers on board, right? So trying to get those global retailers to sign up with us. That's taken a number of years to get to where we are right now. So getting that retailer to give us a discount, to join the ecosystem, that was the trickiest bit. Also in terms of the Web3 elements, building the ability to retire carbon credits both on Web 2 and on Web 3. I think then the biggest challenge we face right now is moving people over to us, getting that message out there through our marketing department, through Tashi and the team, trying to enable customers to know about us, number one, and then to know that there is no cost to them to move over to us. Nothing. All they have to do is change where they start. And if they do that, we all win, everybody. The retailer wins, the customer wins, and us as an organization wins. Was there ever a moment that we felt IMPT might not make it over the 7 or 8 years? I don't think there's a clear-cut moment. I think there's lots of obstacles for sure, but the outcome was always greater. You know, so we always pushed on. I think it's funny when you're not doing such a commercial project, right? So our objective here is to try and solve our bit of climate change. There's always an extra bit of drive in you to enable that. I think commercial projects are not as focused, or you're not as motivated. That's my take on it. But yeah, we've had difficulties getting the retailers to subscribe to us, getting the volume of retailers. And again, as I said in the last answer, the big one for us is getting the customers to start shopping with us. That's getting that global community on board. The big thing blockchain gives you over Web 2 technology is the ability to make your records immutable. Right, so that means that nobody can copy, hack, or destroy a record in any way. So the big thing for us coming into the project was there was a lot of fraud in the carbon credit markets from Kyoto in the early 80s, building the systems. Then people figured it out and they started selling carbon credits over and over again. So one carbon credit could be sold 2,000 times. What we absolutely wanted to do within IMPT was ensure that couldn't happen on our platform, right? So if somebody had built up the reserves, the rewards to buy a carbon credit, then they should definitely take a ton of carbon out of the atmosphere. So blockchain for us was putting that carbon credit, that tokenized asset, onto the blockchain, making it immutable, and ensuring that every customer was able to do the right thing without having to worry about it. Sure. Immutable for IMPT means non-replication of an asset, right? So if we sell you an asset, you must be 100% clear that that asset doesn't get replicated anyplace else. So for us, immutability is the absolute security that every time you shop with us, you're 100% taking a ton of carbon out of the atmosphere. A lot of blockchains out there, a lot of tokens, their utility isn't defined. Our utility is very defined. We regard ourselves as the currency of the climate. So on our ecosystems, every time you do something right by the climate, we retire an equivalent number of IMPTs in our token, right? So our tokenomics reduce by the amount of carbon credits you burn. So what we're trying to achieve there is that every time our system, our ecosystem benefits the planet, our token value goes up. So you get this lovely matrix of the currency rising along with the amount of carbon credits we retire. And that's how tokenomics and blockchain should work. There must be a utility, right? So our utility is very clearly defined, traceable and recordable on the blockchain. Firstly, IMPT stands for impact, right? So we want to make an impact. Our impact, though, is very clear. We want to take tons of carbon out of the atmosphere at no cost to anybody, at no cost to retailers, at no cost to users, at no cost to us.
Yeah.
Right. So, and we want to do it right. So, we want our transactions on the blockchain. We don't want there to be any miscounting, any double counting. So the impact on the world, I hope, is that we planted hundreds of thousands of trees, millions of trees, invested in many solar products, in projects, invested in many wind turbine projects, invested in many carbon extraction projects. That's what I see as our impact. I think the biggest thing we could achieve is to create a movement, right? To create a community of people who want to do the right thing, and we provide a mechanism for them to do it, right? The scale, we have scale at the moment, as you know, Kevin. The scale of that is really based on the amount of people we can speak to over the next few months, right? I don't think anybody objects to what we're doing. As I said, many times, even the anti-climate people don't object to planting trees, right? They don't object to solar panels. So I think our legacy is possibly that we create a movement of people that don't have to change their lives, but just change where they start from. And we take a lot of carbon out of the atmosphere. I suppose it's a great thing if you have a concept, if you have an idea, to run through it to the end. On the negative side, I would say it's a 7-day-week thing, right? So people talk about work-life balance. That doesn't exist. So if you set up a business, you've got to run that business every day, not just the days that suit you. So entrepreneurialism in itself is tough. You need to be a little bit mad, I think. Would I advise my own kids to do it? I'm not sure. It's a tough life. But in saying that, then, you look at what we're doing with IMPT, we get a chance to change things, right? So that's a big deal. So if Tashi, the marketing team, can get a million shoppers on with us, that's a game changer, man. So that's something that you really want to do. But it's tough. It's a tough gig. Would I recommend it? Possibly not.
So entrepreneur equals madness.
Entrepreneur definitely equals madness, but as I said, you do get to have an impact, right? My biggest influence is possibly my love for trees, right? And that whole area inside myself. And that gets you working on a Sunday morning, that gets you out, that gets you up and going. And if I can replicate that, I think that's probably my biggest driver, Kevin, if that makes sense. For me, it was the amalgamation of all these years of tech and AI and understanding how retail worked, and bringing that into one place that we could use that extra margin that we knew was there to try and solve a bit of climate change, right? Simple as that, at a high level, right? But then when you start to break it down, we had to bring on huge amount of retailers in 115 countries. We had to build ecosystems for that to happen. Then we had to get verified carbon projects. Then we didn't trust the carbon projects, so we had to bring it back onto the blockchain. Took us an extra 2 years in dev. So it was this journey, and we just wanted to do it right. We didn't want to make a mess of it, right? We didn't want a gap. So it's taken a while to get here, which has been great now, because it works, right? We're making it free for everybody to have a proper climate impact. Everybody. And that's it. You, me, huge communities, no cost to them. We don't want them to do anything for us. We don't want them to change how they live at all. We just want them to start their little journey with us. Whether that's an online retailer, an offline retailer, it doesn't matter. Whether you buy a voucher for Tesco.com, whatever you do. Every time you interact with us, we're going to pull a ton of carbon out of this atmosphere. That's it. I think it's for everybody. I think it is. You don't need to be technical. You don't need to be You don't need to be into blockchain. You don't need. We build all these systems in the background to make sure it's safe, right? But you just need to be anybody that shops. You don't even need to shop online. You shop offline, right? So anybody that buys anything, and I think that's most people. So it's whoever feels the need to do this, right? Because you've got to hear about it first, and that's what we're working on right now. But once you hear about it, you got to make that little move, right? So you just got to start your journey with us. That's it. We're not tricking you in any way. We're not doing anything untoward. All we're doing is getting a commission when you shop, and we're putting that commission into taking a ton of carbon out of the atmosphere. That's it. No trickery, nothing. And if people can move over to us, we can make a huge difference. We can make a real difference, right? So that's what we want to do. As an organization, we want to build a community of people who can operate and be environmentally impactful just by using our platform. We want that to be a big, strong community of people all over the world. We currently operate in 115 countries. Our apps, our technology, our shopping platforms are available in 115 countries. So a wide network of people that we can look after, that we can take care of, that can operate on our platforms for free to do the right thing by the environment.
Boom.
Okay.
I think we have to stop now. There's the sirens coming back.
Oh, fine.
That was great.
Let's cut everything and take a break.